Welcome back to Money Rocks. Remember this from December. Listen.
I want to promise the people of Illinois that I'm going to testify and I'm going to answer every question that's asked of me. And I know what the truth is, and I know I'll be vindicated.
Well, not so much. Listen to what happened today and listen to the end of this.
I've learned a lot of lessons from this whole experience, and perhaps maybe the biggest lesson I've learned is that I talk too much. Thank you.
Governor, was your concern that Tony Rezko would be called?
Governor, did you lose your testicular virility?
Joining me now, Arthur Ardella and Tamara Holder. Tamara, in Chicago, going to you first. Did you hear that comment at the end? First of all, they wanted to know about whether or not Mr. Rezko was going to be called. But then that last one, did you lose your testicular virility? Question, you're in Chicago. Did he?
I don't know what the word, what is it? Testicular what?
Well, I'm not going to go there. Why didn't he testify? Why was he scared? What was he afraid of?
I'll tell you why. He wasn't afraid of anything. Look, the prosecution has the burden to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. Sam Adams Jr. had the opening statement where he said the governor will testify. We all know, the public knows that he wanted to testify, and he was preparing for it in all of his interviews. However, the prosecution's case totally sucked, Eric. I was in there. I saw it. It was terrible.
Why?
And so the defense is going to get up.
Why?
Well, here's what. They didn't call any of their star witnesses. They didn't call Tony Rezko. They didn't call their victim, Rahm Emanuel. They didn't call Valerie Jarrett. They didn't call over, let's see, there were about 600 to 800 witnesses. They only called 30 plus. So they had so much more that they could have used.
Hang in there, Tamara. So, Artie, what about it? Is this is like Blago sees, wow, they sucked, I'll use her word. So let's just kind of lay low and see if we win this?
It's the most difficult decision a legal team has to make. Eric, I had to make it this Monday. I'm on trial right now. And because human nature is the jury or a judge, they want to hear from the defendant. They want to hear him say, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. And especially when a lawyer stands up and says, you're going to hear it. He's going to tell you. He's so sure of his innocence, he's going to tell you. And now they don't. You know, it's going to be an issue that now Senior is going to have to address in his closing statement as to why Blago didn't come up and testify, and hopefully the jury buys it.
You know what, Tamara? Maybe the prosecution said, you know, we have so much evidence with all these tapes he has, you know, expletive after expletive. I should get more for this Senate seat. Whether they're crazy, I'm not just giving this thing away. Maybe they said, you know, we got this thing open and shut. Did they not?
Look, this is a case of circumstantial evidence at best. If the jury buys into it, it's circumstantial. There's no smoking gun, which there are cases that are won like that all of the time. But even the circumstantial evidence was weak. Also, keep in mind that Rod Blagojevich's brother, Robert, is also a defendant, and he testified yesterday and the day before. He testified in his own defense, but really indirectly in brother Governor Rod's defense as well. And he was a great witness. He said, look, there was no pay to play here. These Indian
there's no
people
pay
were
to play,
coming to
Tamara,
me.
because they didn't get that far. They called the case before he actually took any payment for the seat, right, Artie?
Absolutely. And Eric, you got to keep in mind, you're in federal court. The conviction rate in federal court is somewhere in the 90th percentile. So the standards, the rules of evidence are so in favor of the prosecutor, and the judges are so in favor of the prosecutor that don't be surprised if the prosecutor doesn't pull the rabbit out of the hat here and
What
get
do you
some
think,
sort of
Artie? Are they going to cut a? They can't cut a deal. Is there
well,
some plea bargain?
Blago, I don't think will cut a deal at this point. They're so confident. But don't be surprised if the jury comes back and finds him guilty, and all they have to do is find him guilty of the littlest thing, and he lost because he's pounding his chest.
All right, Artie,
how innocent
you're the prosecutor. What are you going for here?
You go for the top count. You say, ladies and gentlemen, the wire fraud, wire fraud, and all the different types of fraud.
How much time?
Oh, well, that's up to the judge. I mean,
What do you think?
they'll slap him on the wrist. Well, a slap on the wrist for us is different than him. 3 years.
3 years. This is all about him spending 3 years.
Wow, that's a long time for a guy like him who's out of his
Tamara, what about you? Your defense. What do you say? What are you going for?
Well, I don't know. I'd like to see him found not guilty on all of the charges. There are 24 charges here, so the jury may look at this case and say, well, you know, he has to be guilty of something because they brought forward all of these counts. You know, they say
Would you settle for a year? You're his attorney. Would you tell him to settle for a year?
Well, he doesn't get to pick here. He doesn't get to pick.
Let's play a game here. Work with me, Tim.
I don't like to play games.
Yes,
I would say
know
that the
you.
sentence was anywhere.
A year. Here you are. Here I am. I'm judge. I go, you know what, Tamara?
Right.
Your guy, we want him for a year. What do you say to him?
I think that if he's found guilty of something, it'll probably be around the 5 years, 3 to 5 years.
Right. So you say absolutely, bro. You got to take this year. You'll be out in 6 months and you're done. Are you kidding me?
Why am I thinking 5, 10 years? 3 years?
When
3
he's
years?
sentenced, he doesn't have a choice, though. He doesn't have
Right.
a choice to. You got to take this.
We
I mean,
got to leave it,
he's
you
not pleading
guys.
here.
We got to leave it. I'm sure this is going to bring you guys back. We'll bring you back next time. The next Blago,
week, there'll be a
page,
verdict.
next week. All right, Tamara Holder and Arthur Idell. Thanks a lot, you guys.
You.